G'day, it's Joel Rasmus from Southern Cross Combat, and ahead of a very busy schedule for him, I'm talking to Mr. Colby Thicknesse. Colby, how are you today?
Doing very well for a Sunday.
It is a Sunday today. I do appreciate the time you are about to fly out. How is everything? How is the travel day?
Yeah, it's good. It's pretty cruisy. So go to Joe's in a couple of hours and fly out tonight. It's good because we fly out tonight, but because of daylight savings, we get to Bali about 8 o'clock tonight. So got a couple of hours to settle in and sort of get adjusted to staying up pretty late, sort of thing.
Plenty of time to wander the streets of Bali.
Yeah, and start bartering. And yeah, that's the only reason I'm going back. I just need to get new sunnies.
The Craig Jones one's not working out.
Yeah, no, they're not for use. They're intended to.
They've probably got rip-off ones over in Bali, let's be honest.
By this point, they should for sure.
You'd hope so. Uh, as I mentioned there, it is a busy time for yourself. I do appreciate you giving me the time. You are pulling double duty. You are fighting on Canggu Fight Night 32 and Hex 33. Why? Why the double duty?
So after the last fight in Chengdu, they said they'll have me back on and they're willing to help me sort of get opponents and really push because they know the Australian scene at bantamweight with all the sort of moving parts. It's pretty hard to get consistent fights locked in. So I said yes to that, and then when we were down at the last Hex show, they offered me the title shot as well. And Joe's like, "Which one do you want to do?" I said, "Why don't I just do both? Like I'm fit, I'm healthy, stay in shape. Just I love fighting, so." If it means I only have to do like 8 weeks of camp all up for two fights, I'm all for that.
What was Joe's reaction?
Yeah, he was keen on it. My biggest thing is just due to the activity I had at the start of the pro career was just injuries and stuff like that. But the way we train at freestyle, I'm ready to fight every 3 to 4 weeks. I don't cut a drastic amount of weight, so I don't rebound too bad after fights and that sort of thing. So it's just more being able to get things locked in and get to the fights. 'Cause that's always the hardest part for me.
Does this feel like kind of making up for lost time?
Um, in a sense, yes, but I'm not thinking of it this way because realistically, I would have preferred to be this active even if I didn't have that lost time sort of thing. Like I'm somebody I want to fight reasonably 4 times a year, if not five, just depends on how things play out. So realistically, once I get these two out of the way, there'll be 4 fights a year. And if I can keep that schedule moving forward, I feel like that's a pretty good break. I don't really like doing the 1 to 2 fights a year. Obviously, it's only some sort of people once they reach the top they do that, but I much prefer the activity for me personally.
Is there any worries about the double duty? That's you're putting the body through a lot of stress.
Yeah, I'll worry about that November 24th. As of right now, it's just get the job done. Got two people to beat up, and then we'll work. What happens after that, I can sort of whinge, bitch, and complain about it then. But for now, it's just get shit done.
Is the weight cut and such, you're going to have to be going through two in a rapid amount of time. How are you going to navigate that?
Oh well, I don't really cut that much. Like I get to like a comfortable 66 from fight week and cut from there. Then I walk back into the cage around 68. So pretty much all I'll do is like even after I weigh into the fight, you don't like put on fat as everybody knows of how it works. You just fill yourself back up. So pretty much as long as I just don't do that post fight binge blowout and where people get massive, it's gonna be pretty easy. If anything, I think this will set me up for the second cut to be easier because I'm already naturally lead at this body weight. So as long as you, yeah, just don't do the Paddy Pimblett and put on 20 kilos, it won't be an issue whatsoever.
I know you said that you'll worry about the body on November 24th when it's all said and done, but between the two, is there any worry about something happening at Canggu that may
Well, there's
compromise?
always going to be that possibility that something could happen, but like we'll address it when it comes. Like I just don't not giving any of my energy, my thought process to that sort of scenarios because at the end of the day, whatever happens is going to happen, and people can tend to overthink things and they have a few goals set out in front of them. And the way I'm approaching it is just one fight at a time. I've got a job to do when I go to Bali, got to come back couple of days of a deload, then straight back into the sort of 4 5 round fight simulators to mimic the 5 round fight in Hex, get the job done there, and then we can sort of reassess and see what little nigglies and tweaks you have to sort of fix with the body.
Is it frustrating you're not going to be able to kind of have time to fully de-stress and kind of go and celebrate a victory if you pick it up in Canggu?
Not really, because realistically, if you could say, hey, do you want to fight every 2 months, people locked in and you're fit and healthy, I'd much rather do that than sort of just go out, celebrate and sort of write yourself off for a few days. Obviously, it is fun enough to celebrate a win with your mates and everything like that, but I've sort of got to put that on the back burner now because I've got goals that I want to achieve, and the only way I'm going to get to these goals is by racking up these wins back to back.
What's the shortest time period you've had off between fights?
Well, I did the IMAFs if you count that. So I did 3 fights in 3 days. But back in amateur, it was probably 2 to 3 months sort of thing. I had a pretty quick succession of just pumping fights out every sort of 3 to 4 months.
Do you think, well, I suppose we won't know until we go there, but you talked about, you want this to kind of be your schedule. You want to fight a lot more often. It being the pro ranks, those things become, kind of significantly harder, even though, do you think it'll be similar or do you think it'll be completely different to the shorter time period you had in your amateur?
I think it will be similar if the opponents are there and they're available. Hence why I took this fight at Chengdu. So I pretty much locked myself in after the last show in July. So I'm like, all right, I've got a date and I got an opponent. And then when the opportunity for Hex came up, I'm like, I'd be stupid not to take it. Like, I'm always sort of not whinging, but I'm always like, fuck, when can I fight next? So I just want somebody to say yes and that sort of thing. So if the opportunity presents itself, I can get two back to back, I'd be a fool to say no to that.
I don't mean to psychoanalyze you here, Colby. I don't mean
Hmm.
to put on my armchair psychology here, but we've spoken many a time before, and you are. I don't mean to say this and make it sound like you don't take things seriously, but you're a laid back gentleman. You're
Hmm.
a
Yeah.
guy who's pretty chill. We've talked about titles and we've talked about the goals for the career, and you've kind of had this attitude of when it comes, it comes. When it doesn't, it doesn't. But you just said there before you've got goals that you want to achieve.
Mhm.
And in two fights it will be a title fight. What's changed?
Oh, so I've always had these goals in the sort of timeline, but it's just more once I get the roadmap laid in front of me. So say when we chatted last time before the fights, I had a knee injury, so my goal was just then recovering from a knee injury. Then I fought Mario, and my goal was to fight for the title back then. Then the title shot didn't present itself, and it was sort of in that limbo stage where there wasn't clear cut goals. So I'm always focused on getting the 1% better, as cliche as it says, every day sort of thing. But with that being said, once I do have these goals, I know that I get a good finish in Chengdu, I get a good finish on Hex. That's 7-0, possibly like three finishes in a row. Then I've got the title, and then UFC's coming to Sydney in February, so I can start trying to push for that. Hopefully get onto that. If not, I can rack up one or two more, and then I'm definitely on the contender series after that. So it's just with this time frame period. Although I'm a lot more focused and sort of driven to this, it's always been the same. It's just more as I get closer, I like to get a little sort of dialed in with everything.
You kind of just mentioned it there, that concept of like as you get closer, things it begins to get more real.
Hmm.
At what point has it did it kind of get more real and okay, I can actually really make a run at this?
To be honest, I thought I could make it. I thought I could make a run for it since I started. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been in the sport. Like, I'm not in the sport to be a journeyman who's fucking 10-10, fighting on a local show and shit like that. Like, I'm doing this because I want to prove that I can be one of the best in the world, if not the best. And the only way I can do this is by saying yes to opportunities like this. So I've always believed myself and backed myself, and now the opportunity presented itself. I'm just here to take it with both hands.
You are main eventing in Canggu. As
Hmm.
far as I'm aware, this is the first time you've main evented, at least in the pro career. Please correct me
Correct.
from
Yep.
how is that? Is there any more pressure that comes with that?
No, I didn't even know I was main event until I released a fight card. I was like, that's cool. I was like, I guess my techno walkout's going to get a bit louder pop because people are going to be a bit more drunk and it's probably going to be more fucking smoke in the arena because I'm fighting a bit later. But yeah, besides that, and then obviously I'm going to fight later in Bali time because of 4 hours. I'm probably going to fight at like, for who knows, 2 a.m. Oz time or some shit like that around then. So, besides like adjusting the sleep schedule, I'm like, hey, it's cool, I guess.
Has have they told you, is there a stream of this? Are people able to watch it or are we going back to
I
the
have
Instagram?
no idea. It may just be Instagram
All right, back
again.
in the Instagram. That
Back
link
to
will be in the
Insta, yeah.
description. Uh but with the main eventing and with all that, did you think stuff like this, you kind of talked about it, this has always been the goal. but like you're a young guy, and as we kind of talked about, it's getting more real. Did you think this would be happening at this point in your career?
If I'm being honest, I thought it would have happened much earlier. I thought, yeah, no, I've had goals that I set out where I wanted to be at certain places in my career at certain timelines, and they didn't obviously match. Things weren't, well, I guess they were out of my control due to like the injuries, fucking world shutting down and stuff like that. But I've still managed to hit reasonable sort of a good schedule where I'm still ticking off at goals. It's just a little bit more delayed. But yeah, I've always thought about stuff like this, like international main events, pretty cool. Main event in like sellout shows in your hometown, then obviously eventually get into the UFC, walking out in front of thousands of people all over the world, sort of things. I've always had these uh sort of, what would you say, these experiences envisioned, and now it sort of feels like I'm just following that journey. I'm sort of slowly just experiencing each one that comes, and each experience is slowly just getting more sort of surreal and surreal.
As we just mentioned before, like it's hard to find streams sometimes, so sometimes it's hard to get the full spectacle. But I've been using this photo. I think your manager mentioned how everyone's using this photo of you walking out, high fiving people,
Yeah.
gritting your teeth. There's like smoke going off behind
Yeah.
you. What's the spectacle like at Canggu?
Oh, bro, it's fucking unbelievable. Like, it's at Atlas nightclub, so it's the biggest nightclub in Bali. So it fits thousands of people, and they have it set up so the cage is obviously in the middle. Then it's just booths, like floor booths, tiered booths, stand-in. Then there's like two more stories of stand-in people. Like, because it's a nightclub, they got the production for clubs and that. So I was just geeing the crowd up. I was like, for song drop, the pyros are going, you got flames and everything. So I was just getting into it, sort of thing.
What is that like? And then how does that compare when you come home and maybe the events aren't in nightclubs and there isn't a big stage?
Oh well, you just sort of take everything as it comes. Like I thought when I did the IMAF, so I won like a gold medal in like a fucking basketball stadium with like 40 people watching or something. So it's just you just adapt to what it is. If I need to sort of just soak in the 40 people energy, or I can soak in a couple of thousand people going wild on that. It's just sort of taking each moment for as it comes. Because eventually, like I always say with this, you're never going to be able to do this for the rest of your life. So each trip, it's like you're only going to have certain things which will specifically happen on that trip. So it's like I only get my first ever walk out to Canggu. Now I'll get this is my first international main event. And then the whole experience of on my first title fight at Hex is going to be a different experience. So it's just sort of being present in them and then just enjoying the things as they come in the moment.
You are fighting on Canggu. You are fighting Norman Ag Agricopra. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Yeah, thank you. What do you know about him? What do you make of him?
I know he's had a bit of time off before his last one. There's not much footage on him. I've stalked his Instagram. He has like a couple Instagram accounts, so he's had a fair few kickboxing fights. He's a southpaw, and as his record says, he's got four first round finishes, two losses, and he's just gonna come out guns blazing trying to take my head off. So cool. Let's try it.
When you're fighting a guy who you aren't familiar with, a
Mhm.
guy, and not just like because you don't know him, but like it's hard to necessarily find footage of him. You've
Mhm.
kind of got a name and a record. How much stock do you put into that record? How much stock do you put into this guy coming in with four first round finishes?
I obviously will look at the topology, just see who he's beat, see who he's lost to, then go through like the opponent's records and try and get a bit of an idea that way. But at the end of the day, it doesn't sort of, without the necessarily footage sort of thing, like he could be beating guys who are one and two, but them guys, you look at them and they've only lost to killers and stuff like that. So I don't put too much stock into it. I just try and find a bit of footage. But I'm very confident in my skills and ability and where I'm at in my career. So I'm just going to go out, sort of feel the fight. I've fought plenty of southpaws by this point, so it's nothing unfamiliar. I fought plenty of short dudes who want to try and take my head off, sort of thing. So I'm very sort of fortunate with the bodies and everything I get at freestyle and the team there. So there's no looks, there's nothing I haven't seen before. There's nothing going to go out and catch me by surprise. So it's just going to be go out there, get my reads, and when I see the finish, capitalize on it.
Now talking about your other opponent, Marvin Malunes, what have you seen of him and what do you think of him?
Well, I've seen his record, and I'm pretty sure he had a bare knuckle boxer fight. And then besides that, I'll be honest, I haven't watched anything of him. Like I said, I'm very sort of focused on just getting this fight done in Chengdu, and then when I come back over another 4 weeks to sort of do my research and that. So right now, I know his record, I know that, but he's sort of on the back burner. It's just more focusing on the first person in front of me.
When when you're in a situation like this and you've got these kind of two fights with two different guys, one of which you're not at all familiar with, you haven't even looked at yet. Um, does it become trained to them and be ready for what they do, or are you just going to focus on yourself and
I'm always focusing on myself and what I'm gonna do. Obviously, say perfect example, I'm fighting a short southpaw. Then I know the other guy's a little bit longer orthodox. So like then you can obviously just sort of analyze what the stylistic differences in between them. Obviously the southpaw there's way more intricate details about it's obviously like battle of the foot positioning, battle of the power hands and sort of the position of that versus the orthodox or it's more traditional sort of trying to block the hand and shots and that. So it's more just I how I explain is I got silhouettes in my head of what they like to do and I'll visualize and train for certain things that I think they might do or that a typical short southpaw guy might do. But besides that, I don't read too much into it. Like I trust my ability and I back myself enough to sort of go out there, keep myself safe, and then just get the reads and sort of open up my game from there.
how did the fight on Hex come to be? How did you get offered, Marvin?
So obviously I was number one contender after I beat Manu, and then we were hopefully gonna push for the Cody fight, but obviously fair play to him, he got signed a contender. He's just won recently, so fucking good on him. That damn dude's tough too. Actually coached against him in the Ultimate Fighter, so it's good to see him get a good win and a good fight like that. And then after I fought on Canggu, we were trying to line up me and Loga and that didn't work out. And then they offered me for Loga on beatdown for a 3 round title fight, and I was like, I don't know, I want to do 5 round title fight. I'm not gonna go up and do a 3 rounder instead. And then as all that was playing enough, Chengi's like, we've got someone, so I said yes to that. And then when we're down at the last Hex show, they're like, the belt's still vacant if you want to fight it. And I said yes, and they said and obviously there was no one realistically but Oz team for me to fight. So I don't know. Joe and that just has a chat and they just sort of find opponents for me and they just my WhatsApp is hilarious, bro. Like at this point in my career, I get sent like say I get sent lists 3 or 4 guys and I just have to rank them in 1 to 4 and then conversations like with Joe the afternoon. He's like, he said no, he wants too much money. He's actually booked. This guy said yes. I'm like, all right, sweet. So that's how it just plays out. So even for these 2 fights, I probably had like 10 plus opponents fucking sent to me on WhatsApp, and it's just like, I don't even know who I'm fighting pretty much till it's like confirmed I'm in now. Other than that, you never know what can happen.
You find out via the Instagram post.
Yes, exactly. I'm all right. This is official. He has signed a contract.
You're a guy who is I'm trying to come up with a word for it, but like I don't want to use the word prodigy because I don't know if that's too intense of a word. Would you consider yourself a prodigy?
No, I'm just a dude who works hard.
But you're a man who's been training for a long time. You've been a product of the freestyle system.
Hmm.
You know, I think the record speaks for itself. I think the performances speak for themselves. You're fighting. Uh, I don't know too much about Norman, but we're using Marvin for the example. You're fighting him for a title. He's a man coming into the fight off 2 losses.
Hmm.
Do you think these people are worthy of fighting you?
I feel like honestly, I think anybody's worthy fight of anybody. If they have the guts to sign that contract and they're willing to fight you for 15 to 25 minutes, you have to give them that respect that they are worthy to be in there with you. Does that mean they're on my level? No, it doesn't. I don't think there's many people that are on my level currently where I'm at. And like I said, the thing with obviously he's coming off for 2 losses, which is funny because when the fight got booked, it was 5-2, and then he got a loss, and I was like, oh, that doesn't look as good now, but is what it is, sort of thing. And yeah, no, I think everybody's worthy to step in there. Obviously, it's not sort of like you're taking some dude who's never trained in that. That's a completely different scenario. But anybody's a professional fighter and they're keen to have a crack. Like there's been plenty of massive upsets in fights, regional to the highest level in the world. There's going to be plenty more upsets. And the only way people do get them upsets is by people taking chances and fighting people like this. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but I think it is a sort of necessary requirement of someone in my position to just take opportunities as they present themselves. Because who knows, I'm going to try to wait around for the perfect opponent, and then this fight could slip by. So if he's willing to say yes, I'll give him all respect and step in there with him, but I've still got to go out there and got a job to do.
I was fortunate enough to cover UFC Perth that just happened. And in the post fight press conference, Mr. Israel Adesanya name dropped yourself.
Mhm.
That's not too over the top for yourself. You're obviously a man who's familiar with the team.
Mhm.
But still, when you get name dropped at the UFC press conference, how does that make you feel?
It's really good. It's just it's reassuring because at the end of the day, I started my career at freestyle when I was 12. So seeing what Volk and Joe have accomplished, I think Volk was 2-0 when I started, and seeing him going from that to the pound for pound best in the world and having them interactions with Israel, seeing that it can be done. But you're always gonna have them lingering doubts like, am I doing enough? Is this going on? Is that going up? And honestly, it's just reassuring having them guys that I find inspirational and that I look up to as sort of legends just inside and outside of a cage, just as a fighter and a human being, have them sort of give me my praise and props and stuff like that. It's just more reassuring. Motivation's a pretty sort of, I don't really believe in motivation sort of thing. I think it's more discipline, but having that little bit of, yeah, like I said, encouragement and praise can really sort of spark something in you.
As I kind of mentioned earlier, you're a pretty laid back guy. You're not too like it doesn't seem that you're too stressed about things. However, you have talked about you have goals and
Hmm.
COVID kind of messed up some of those goals, but you're still gonna reach them.
Hmm.
Uh Israel name dropped three people, and you were the only gentleman of those three who was not on contender. Has it been frustrating for you to see so many people get picked for contender?
Nah, man, like it is what it is. Like I always think that crabs in a bucket mentality is pretty stupid. And like realistically, like I get you got to think at the end of the day, UFC's business, they're spoilt for choice. And I'm currently still not in a position where I've made myself undeniable for that. Maybe now, if you look in the Australian scene, I'm probably technically at the top with how things played out, but that's only because other people got signed. So, like, Cody was more deserving of me. Even Aaron Tao, he had more wins, more finishes. He's more deserving of me at that point. So, I never sort of had that. Jealousy or envy of, oh, why do these people get it and I don't? I still know I still need to put my head down, get in more work. And that's what I'm hoping to show for by getting these two fights back to back. I'm showing I'm active. I'm on a run. Haven't lost in I don't even know how many years now, sort of thing. And I really want to put that staple on it, saying like, here, there's nobody else to pick but me for the next shot.
And now, when you're in the position that you are, two fights coming up, title fight. If they all go your way, you're 7-0 with a title. What is your timeline?
I'll be honest, realistically, I want to push for that UFC Sydney card. I think, especially if Volkswagen, I think that would be, fuck, bro, I fucking couldn't even explain what that means to me if I could do something like that. But hey, if that doesn't happen, it's just going to be keep racking up the wins. And 7-0 is good, 8-0 looks better. And pretty much at that point, I think you're undeniable for any sort of call up, whether it be contender into a fight night or something like that. So it's just keep putting my head down, keep putting in the work, and then just keep letting sort of buzz, hype, and that generate behind the work I'm doing and the results that I'm showing for it.
I've been fortunate enough. I've seen you fight before, seen you fight live. I've also been fortunate to see many of your teammates fight where you've been in the corner or you've been there. You're very relaxed on when you're backstage and a teammate of yours is fighting. I remember the last time I saw you backstage. I believe you tripped me as I walked past you. Thank you.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
what is when you're backstage? What's the atmosphere like?
For when I'm fighting,
Yeah, when you're fighting. I've only been there
oh, bro,
once.
super chill to like before I walk out. So like I've got a playlist. It's on Spotify. It's a fucking banging playlist, but it's like customized for me from what I like of that. But it's called Sad Crying Mix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So completely opposite. So I listen to that and just like chill, do my sweat out, and yeah, I don't flick that switch pretty much until I hear my walkout music and that. And then even then, like I'll get Vegeta up, and then I'll calm myself back down for the actual walkout itself. And it's not until I'm in there and the door shuts behind me where I'm sort of flicking that switch and I've got to solely focus on the person in front of me. Besides that, I'm just trying to, like I said, be present and just soak everything in and just sort of enjoy the ride.
Is it sad crying music on that playlist?
Yeah, it's all real sad. Well, it's like yeah, it's real sad. It's real low beat sort of things. There's lots of like female solo vocals, pianos. Yeah, it's pretty low beat compared to what I walk out to. You would not be expecting that's what I'm listening to backstage.
Why do you need that style of music?
Or because I think I'm naturally a sort of person where I can amp myself up really easily. And especially my amateur careers, I used to be fucking G'd up for 2 days before I fought, and then it sort of burns you out. Whereas now I'm just like, just chilling. Obviously, if it gets closer, I might up the BPMs a bit, but there's never anything too crazy when I'm normally backstage. Just more staying flow and relaxed. Like, I remember Volk told me this for my pro debut. He was saying after we did our morning hitouts, he's like, even if you sort of feel a little bit off or like you don't know how you're feeling, he's like, when the time comes, that switch is going to be, and you're going to be on, so you don't have to worry about anything. You don't need to do anything externally, worry about this routine, this ritual. It's just go out there, and when the time comes, that flick will switch and you'll be on. And that's sort of just how I try and approach everything.
When does Colby's Year Six disco playlist get used?
So that's a training playlist. That's a training playlist or a long drive playlist. And now and then I might chuck it on to a break up if it's getting like too somber in my headphones backstage. I might chuck it on. But yeah, it's a fucking universal playlist. We should definitely link that below. I actually
Okay.
applied for it on Spotify. They had this thing where you can put your playlist on a billboard. And I did for all the techno gremlins out there. And I like sent it. So hopefully it's on a billboard somewhere.
Is
Quickly
this
apply.
the photo of you with the bowl cut somewhere on a
Iconic
billboard?
bowl cut. I was
Please.
18 when I had that haircut. What
When
an
are you
idiot.
when are you bringing it back?
The bowl cut.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll grow that long because I keep bleaching it, but nah, never. I look too Amish with it.
Dude, Amish Colby.
New
There's a
mythical fighter.
there's a few mythical fighters surrounding you. Last time we spoke, we talked about a mythical fighter. We talked off camera about how you looked as a young boy. And now there's Amish
Yeah.
Colby. What else is there?
Um, who knows? You never know with me. I'm sort of like what are them things called? Where you like use a paper and you flick you just you never know what you're gonna get. You just spin it, open it up. That's sort of what fighter vibe I'm gonna pick next.
Well, I look forward to the next one. Maybe that gets discovered at one of these next two fights.
Yeah.
Champion Colby, maybe.
I like that. There's a ring to it.
Colby, I thank you so much for the time between now and well, the flight's later today, but between now and fight night one, what does the rest of your time look like?
A lot of downtime, so it just includes me watching lots of anime, and then besides that, just for training, weight cutting. Obviously in Bali, enjoy the hot weather, and then got some got some mates coming over. Then gonna get some cool content. So the POP boys are coming over. They're bringing a videographer actually from the Wednesday. So gonna see all the sort of behind the scene stuff of the training sessions, the weight cut, me backstage, me after fight. So there's gonna be some pretty cool content coming out of this fight. So I'm excited for that.
Perfect. And where will that content be?
That will most likely be on my Instagram, I hope.
All right. Well, that's linked at the start of this, and so everyone can see
Yeah.
that. Um, do you get to hang out in Bali afterwards, or is it straight back home?
Yeah, so I'll fly back the Tuesday night. So last time we did the Monday night, and let me tell you, fighting at fucking 11:30 p.m., then sending it after that and not sleeping and getting on a flight home Monday night is not a good idea. So we're flying out on Tuesday. Pretty much I only did that because I knew I'd have the fight back to back. So I just want a day to sort of enjoy, relax, hit up some Bali's where we are is amazing. They've got obviously the recovery centers and everything like that. So get some recovery, get some good food into me, and just sort of let my body decompress, and then straight back into the grind Wednesday when I get back home.
Get a nice massage parlor.
Yeah, I still got the vouchers from last time.
You didn't use them.
No, well they paid me so many. I'm like, just keep them. I'll come back. I'll collect the main event.
Oh, perfect, perfect.
Yeah,
And you might,
after this win, I may as well just have like two or three chicks working on me at once.
yeah,
They're gonna pay me. Yeah.
and then like if after the hex fight, maybe you come back with the belt. And you're
Might
like,
get a wife that way.
what does this get me? If the vouchers got me a massage, what does the belt get me?
Probably rolled and robbed.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'd keep that. I'd keep it under wraps. And also, you mentioned it. What animes will you be watching?
I've been a fiend for Black Clover this fight camp. Each fight camp I sort of go through one. So I'm up to the last season, which is only like 14 episodes. I've finished that on the flight. Do you have any recommendations? Because I've pumped out a fair few recently. So what do you
Uh,
recommend?
I'm not a huge anime person. That being said, I the one of the only ones I've watched is Ruby, which is an American show, but it's kind of
Okay.
anime. Also Erased is very good.
Oh, I haven't heard of a race. I'll suss that out.
That's like a murder drama
Oh, mate, I'm
about
on it.
going back through time and stuff.
Well, I love it.
I would recommend those. Those are the two. Those are the two
Yeah.
anime recommendations I can give anyone because those are
That's
the only
good
two I've
because they're
seen.
not typical. It's not like your obviously mainstream ones. So that's good.
Yeah, yeah. You should check out Naruto, dude.
Yeah. You should watch Jujutsu
Yeah, you
Kaisen.
should watch Baki. You like fighting? Watch Baki. Classic. Colby, I thank you so much for the time. It is always a pleasure to speak to you. Best of luck in both of the fights. Best of luck. Safe of travels home. Safe travels to Bali, then home, then to Melbourne, then home.
Yep.
And I'll see you in Melbourne. Thank you so much for the time.
Legend. Thank you very much, bro. Appreciate it.